The HOA accused me of unauthorized paving one Tuesday morning. The kind of morning when a man just wants to sip his coffee, read the local paper, and let his knees warm up before moving around too much. I'm 72. I don't jump up for anything quickly, but when the envelope showed up taped to my door, with the words urgent violation in red ink, well, that got my heart moving faster than my doctor would approve of. I opened the letter right there on the porch. According to the HOA, I had supposedly paved a section of common property without permission, and I had 10 days to remove the asphalt and restore landscape compliance. I blinked twice, shook the letter, and read it again. Asphalt, on my property. I couldn't have paved anything if I wanted to. I haven't rented a tool heavier than a leaf blower since 1998, so I walked around the side of the house, and sure enough, there it was. A neat strip of fresh asphalt, maybe 4 feet wide, running along the fence line behind my shed. Smooth, dark, and definitely not mine. The smell alone told me it was less than a week old. The rising action began when I fetched my neighbor, Gary, a retired contractor who knows more about concrete and asphalt than most city inspectors. That's commercial grade, he said, tapping the surface with his boot. Whoever did this had the equipment. You didn't. I laughed. Gary, I get winded taking groceries out of the trunk. I'm not out here paving anything. The HOA didn't care. They sent me a second notice the next day, this time with a fine attached $300. $304, something I didn't even know was there until their letter told me about it. That's when the conflict hit full force. I called the HOA president, a man named Bruce who wears polo shirts like a uniform and treats the neighborhood like it's his personal monarchy. I didn't pave anything, I told him, and you can come look yourself. Bruce arrived with a clipboard and a look that could curdle milk. He examined the asphalt, muttered something about unauthorized improvements, and declared, well, it wasn't there last month, and it's on your lot line. That makes it your responsibility. Since when? I asked. Since now, he said. I didn't get angry easily at my age, but Bruce's tone. That'll do it. So here came the comeback. It didn't start loud, but it started determined. I went looking through old HOA emails, notices, maintenance logs, anything I could find. After 40 minutes, honey-colored desk lamps shining over my kitchen table, I found something interesting, a message from 2 months earlier announcing planned asphalt repairs behind several properties, including mine, but they never followed up with the schedule. The next morning, I stopped one of the landscaping guys who was working near the entrance. That asphalt behind my shed, I asked casually, did your crew install that? He shook his head. Not us. HOA hired a paving company last week. I had them. The rising action returned when I drove down to the city permit office. Took a while. Everything takes a while when every other person waiting is also over 60 and has stories they want to share, but eventually, I got what I needed, a copy of the work order filed by the HOA themselves. It authorized spot asphalt reinforcement behind north property line sections. There it was. In writing, official, stamped. I took it straight to Bruce. He was in the HOA office, shuffling papers like he was running the Pentagon. When I placed the permit on the desk, he raised his eyebrows so high, they nearly left his forehead. Where did you get this? He asked. Public record. I said, your signature's right there. He read the document again and again. Then he tried the usual HOA tango the dance where they say things like, this must be a misunderstanding, or this wasn't supposed to be your section, or we'll have to check with the vendor. I didn't blink. Bruce, the vendor did this. You hired them, and now you're finding me for work you commissioned. He looked like someone had unplugged his brain and plugged it back in, but the payoff came even better than I expected. 2 days later, a new letter arrived, not taped this time, but placed gently in my mailbox. It was an apology from the HOA. Not just a cancellation of my fine, but an admission that the asphalt was their work, placed in the wrong location due to a mapping error. They promised to remove it at their expense and restore the landscaping to its previous condition. Better yet, neighbors started talking. Turns out I wasn't the only one the HOA had wrongly blamed for work they'd done themselves. People were fed up. Seniors who hadn't attended a meeting in a decade suddenly found the strength to show up, arms crossed, eyebrows raised, ready to hold Bruce accountable. At the next HOA meeting, I sat in the front row, not to gloat, well maybe just a little. When the topic of maintenance oversight came up, several neighbors demanded new checks and balances, transparency about contracts, and an end to retroactive violations. Bruce kept glancing my way like he was confessing to a priest who already knew the whole story. The final payoff came one warm evening when the contractor returned to remove the misplaced asphalt. The foreman told me, funny thing, they gave us the wrong map. We were supposed to reinforce drainage behind the HOA's maintenance lot, not your house. So the HOA not only blamed me, they messed up their own project. I watched them tear up the asphalt, lay fresh soil, and replace the grass. When the job was finished, my yard looked the best it had in years. I leaned on my rake, feeling like a man who'd survived something ridiculous, but victorious. Because really, these HOA battles aren't about asphalt, fences, mailboxes, or shrubs. They're about standing up for yourself when someone decides the rules apply differently depending on who they favor. And at my age, I don't have patience for nonsense, but I do have time, paperwork, and persistence. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and tell me where you're watching from. I love hearing from folks all across the USA, especially those who had run-ins with their own HOA. You're not alone, and trust me, there are plenty more stories where this one came from.